Ambassador Elaine Wright stood by the large window in her office, gazing at the Earth below. The blue planet looked peaceful from the orbital station that served as headquarters for Earth's independent coalition. 5 years had passed since humanity's controversial exit from the Galactic Council, and those years had been busy ones. Another request from the Melnarian sector, her assistant said, placing a datapad on her desk. They're asking for our help with their defense systems. Elaine nodded without turning from the window. It was the third such request this week. Former Council species were increasingly reaching out to humans for assistance, despite the Council's ongoing attempts to isolate Earth diplomatically. They voted against us at every Council session, Elaine noted. Now they want our protection. Things change, her assistant replied simply. Indeed they had. When humanity declared independence from the Galactic Council 5 years ago, many predicted Earth's quick downfall. The Council had controlled interstellar trade, technology sharing, and diplomatic relations for over 10,000 years. No species had ever left voluntarily. Elaine closed her eyes, remembering that final Council session. Frank Mitchell, Earth's representative at the time, had stood before the assembly of alien diplomats with quiet dignity. Humanity cannot accept restrictions on our growth and development, he had told them. For 300 years, we have followed your guidelines, limited our expansion, and curbed our technological advancement because you deemed us potentially aggressive. Today, we choose a different path. The Council's reaction had been immediate and harsh. Trade sanctions, travel restrictions, technological embargoes. But humanity had survived, and more than that, had thrived. Elaine moved to her desk and activated the holographic display showing Earth's current projects. Shipyards orbited Mars, constructing vessels that would have been forbidden under Council regulations. Research stations across the solar system developed technologies the Council had deemed too dangerous for younger species. Most importantly, humans had maintained their independence while building new alliances with other dissatisfied species. The communication system chimed, interrupting her thoughts. Ambassador, we're receiving unusual signals from the Outer Rim territories, the operations officer reported. You might want to see this. Minutes later, Elaine stood in the station's command center, watching the incoming data streams. Strange energy patterns were appearing at the edge of known space, beyond Council territory. What are we looking at? She asked the science team. We're not entirely sure, replied the lead scientist, adjusting the holographic display. But 3 monitoring outposts have gone silent in that region in the past week. Council outposts? Yes. And we've detected approximately 20 ships fleeing the area. Elaine frowned. The Council rarely lost control of its territories, and it never admitted to problems it couldn't handle. Any communication from the Council about this? None through official channels, the communications officer said. But we received this an hour ago. The officer played a message, audio only, no identification markers. The voice spoke in the formal diplomatic language used by Council representatives. Earth Coalition, we face a situation beyond our public acknowledgement capabilities. The Void Collective expands from the Outer Rim. Previous assessments of their intentions were incorrect. Unofficial exchange of information would be appreciated. Elaine's eyebrows rose. The Council was asking for humanity's help while trying to maintain the fiction that they didn't need it. What's the Void Collective? She asked. No one in the room had an answer. Whatever threat had emerged from deep space, the Council had kept it classified, even as it apparently grew beyond their control. Prepare a response, Elaine instructed. Tell them we're willing to share information, but only on equal terms. We're not their subordinates anymore. As the staff hurried to comply, Elaine returned to the window. The stars looked different now, knowing that something was moving among them, something that frightened even the ancient Council species. 5 years of independence, she murmured. And now this. The day humans departed the Galactic Council, everything had begun to change. But it seemed the biggest changes were yet to come. Commander Noah Bell stood on the bridge of the EIC flagship, Defiance, his eyes fixed on the holographic display showing the devastation. What was once a thriving Milorian outpost was now just floating debris and radiation. This was the third destroyed Council outpost they had found in 2 weeks. "Commander, I finished analyzing the radiation patterns," said Samantha Reeves, approaching with a datapad. As the ship's head science officer, she had been working non-stop since they arrived in this sector. "What did you find?" Noah asked, taking the pad from her hand. "It's definitely the Void Collective. The energy signature matches our previous encounters," she said. Her voice was steady, but Noah could see the concern in her eyes. But this attack was much larger in scale. "They're getting bolder." Noah nodded grimly. The Void Collective had been a mystery when the first reports came in. Now they were becoming humanity's biggest concern. He tapped his communication badge. "Bell to Earth Command. We need to speak with Admiral Carter immediately." 3 hours later, Noah and Samantha stood in the virtual briefing room, their holograms projected into Earth Command headquarters. Admiral Diane Carter listened as they presented their findings. "The Council is refusing to acknowledge the severity of the situation," Noah explained. "They called our reports human exaggerations to justify military expansion." Admiral Carter's face hardened. "Show me the evidence again." Samantha brought up the 3D models of the destroyed outposts, pointing out the attack patterns. "The Void Collective isn't random. They're targeting the most technologically advanced worlds first. Based on this pattern, we believe they're systematically eliminating potential threats before moving to easier targets. If we had stayed under Council restrictions, we would have been defenseless," Noah added. "Their limitations on our weapon systems and shield technology would have left Earth vulnerable." Admiral Carter paced the room. "The Council has always been afraid of our potential. That's why they tried to keep us contained. Now that fear might get them all killed." Their meeting was interrupted by an urgent alert. "Admiral, an unidentified ship has just entered Earth space. It's heavily damaged and broadcasting on all frequencies." The main screen showed a small vessel, its hull scorched and breached in multiple places. It was a miracle it could still travel at all. "It's a Silurian design," Samantha said, surprised. "They're one of the founding races of the Council." "Open a channel," Carter ordered. The screen flickered to show a blue-skinned alien, blood running from a wound on his forehead. "This is Ambassador Krell of the Silurian Empire. I request immediate asylum and audience with your leaders." 20 minutes later, Krell sat in the secure briefing room. Despite his injuries, he insisted on speaking immediately. "The Council has been lying to all member species," he said, his voice weak but determined. "They've known about the Void Collective for decades. The highest Council members kept it classified, believing they could contain the threat through appeasement and by sacrificing outer colonies." Noah felt his anger rising. "They knew. While they were restricting our defenses, they knew this threat was out there." Krill nodded slowly. "The Council feared humanity most of all. Your adaptability, your military history. They believed if humans knew about the Void Collective, you would build weapons that might eventually threaten the Council itself." Admiral Carter's expression was grim. "So they decided it was better to keep everyone vulnerable." "The oldest Council species have always feared change," Krell explained. "They believed their ancient ways would prevail as they had for thousands of years. But the Void Collective doesn't negotiate. It doesn't follow rules. It simply consumes." Samantha studied the data Krell had brought. "According to this, we have maybe 3 months before they reach major Council worlds." "And how long until they reach Earth?" Noah asked quietly. 6 months, Krell replied, "unless they change their pattern." Admiral Carter stood up. "It seems humanity's departure from the Council didn't just change us. It's about to change everything." She turned to Noah. "Commander Bell, prepare the Defiance for immediate deployment. We need to gather more intelligence." As Noah left the room, he realized the irony. The Council had feared humanity's potential for war, and now that potential might be the only thing that could save the galaxy. The grand meeting hall of Earth's Independent Coalition headquarters buzzed with tension. Representatives from 7 different alien species sat around the oval table, their bodies, sizes, and colors as varied as their homeworlds. 5 years ago, such a gathering would have been impossible under Council rules, which limited interspecies meetings without Council supervision. Ambassador Elaine Wright entered the room with a calm expression that masked her surprise. Most shocking among the visitors was War Chief Vox of the Dralaxians, a reptilian species that had been openly hostile to humans since first contact. "I thank you all for coming," Elaine said, taking her seat at the head of the table. "These are unprecedented times." War Chief Vox's scales shifted from deep red to an uncomfortable orange. "Let us dispense with pleasantries, Ambassador Wright. My people are practical. The Council is falling. 3 of our border worlds have gone silent." "The Void Collective," said a small furry delegate from the Pellerin Federation. "Yes," Elaine confirmed. "Our intelligence suggests 12 Council worlds have been completely overtaken in the past month." Vox leaned forward, his clawed hands gripping the table. "Humans were right to build your defenses despite Council restrictions. We Dralaxians valued our warrior traditions, yet even we submitted to Council limitations. Now we pay the price." On the other side of the room, Dr. Alan Porter displayed his latest findings on the main screen. The brilliant scientist had been working day and night since the first Void attack. "If we combine Earth's shield technology with Dralaxian energy weapons, we might create a defense system effective against the Void entities," Alan explained, pointing to his diagrams. "The problem has been power consumption, but I believe I've solved it." War Chief Vox studied the designs with narrowed eyes. "This would require sharing military secrets my people have guarded for generations." "And we would be sharing ours," Elaine countered. "These are no longer normal times, War Chief." Before Vox could respond, the doors slid open. Captain Lisa Grant of the Artemis strode in, still wearing her battle-damaged uniform. Her ship had just returned from a reconnaissance mission to Council space. "Ambassador, we have a situation," Lisa announced. "A Council diplomatic vessel is requesting permission to enter our space. They're being pursued by Void ships." Elaine's eyebrows rose. "The Council is coming to us for help." "Not officially," Lisa explained. "The vessel carries Council Representative Zoltek, but he claims he's here without Council authorization. Their headquarters is under siege." The room erupted in overlapping voices until Elaine raised her hand for silence. "What exactly is he requesting?" "Asylum for himself and the evacuation of the remaining Council representatives from their headquarters," Lisa said. "He specifically asked for, and I quote, the assistance of the primitive species we so gravely underestimated." War Chief Vox made a sound between a laugh and a growl. "The arrogance remains even as they beg." Elaine looked around the table at the assembled representatives. Each of them had left the Council's protection for different reasons, but they were all here now, forming a coalition outside Council authority. "We have a choice to make," she said. "Do we help the very institution that restricted us, belittled us, and feared us, or do we let them face the consequences of their actions?" Dr. Allen stood up. "From a practical standpoint, the Council archives contain data that could be vital to fighting the Void. If their headquarters falls, we lose that information." Captain Lisa nodded. "The Artemis can be ready in 2 hours. We can reach Council headquarters before the Void completes their encirclement." War Chief Vox's scales shifted to a deep blue, a rare color for his species. "The Council called humans dangerous because you think differently. They called my people savages because we value strength. Perhaps it is time to show them the value of what they feared." Elaine looked at the determined faces around her. Humans, Dralaxians, and the other species, former rivals united by necessity and mutual respect that the Council had never fostered. "Captain Grant," she said finally, "prepare your ship. You'll lead a rescue mission to evacuate the Council representatives." She turned to Vox. "Will Dralaxian warriors join this mission?" Vox stood to his full height, The Council will now see what happens when humans and Dralaxians fight together, rather than against each other. The coalition was formed. The universe had indeed changed. Dr. Kevin Morris stared at the sample container with a mixture of fascination and horror. Inside, a small piece of the Void Collective pulsed with dark energy. The lab's special containment field was the only thing keeping it from growing and consuming everything around it. "How is it still active?" asked Admiral Diane Carter, who had come to see the results herself. "That's what makes them so dangerous," Kevin explained. "They don't die like organic beings. They're ancient energy entities that feed on technology and knowledge. The more advanced the civilization, the more they want to consume it." The sample had been collected during a dangerous mission to a fallen Council world. 3 crew members had died to secure it, and Kevin was determined their sacrifice wouldn't be in vain. In the next room, rescued Council members watched nervously through the observation window. Among them was High Elder Jex, once the most vocal critic of humanity's aggressive tendencies. "You should not be studying it," Jex said, his voice trembling. "The ancients always taught that the void must be avoided, never confronted." Admiral Carter turned to the alien with barely contained anger. "The ancients? You mean your council knew about these things all along?" Jex's 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a sign of shame in his species. The earliest council records speak of the void. They were dormant for thousands of years, until... "Until what?" Kevin asked, looking up from his instruments. "Until our deep space exploration teams accidentally awakened them 27 years ago," Jex admitted. "The highest council circle decided the information should remain classified." Admiral Carter slammed her fist on the lab table. 27 years. You've hidden this threat for 27 years while restricting our defense technology. "We believed containment was possible," Jex said defensively. "The Council tried to redirect the void away from core worlds by abandoning outer territories." Kevin shook his head in disbelief, while keeping everyone in the dark about why those territories were being abandoned. The conversation was interrupted when Kevin's assistant rushed into the lab. "Doctor, you need to see this." On the main screen, a pattern emerged from the energy readings. Kevin's eyes widened as he understood what he was seeing. "They're not invincible," he whispered. "They have a frequency weakness." For the next 3 days, Kevin barely left the lab. When he finally emerged, the coalition leadership had gathered to hear his findings. "The void entities resonate at specific electromagnetic frequencies," Kevin explained to the assembled group. "When exposed to counter-frequencies, they become unstable and can't maintain their form." War Chief Vox of the Dralaxians leaned forward. "You mean we can hurt them?" "Better than that," Kevin said with a tired smile. "We can destroy them, but it will require modifying our weapons systems to emit these precise frequencies." Ambassador Elaine Wright turned to the Council representatives. "This is why humanity's approach to problems is valuable. We don't avoid threats or try to appease them. We study them and find solutions." High Elder Jex looked humbled. "The Council was wrong about humanity's nature. What we called dangerous was actually necessary." Within weeks, the Coalition fleet had been retrofitted with the new counter-frequency weapons. The first test came when a void attack force approached the Centauri colony. From the bridge of the defense station, Kevin watched as the modified weapons fired. The void entities, previously unstoppable, writhed and dispersed when hit with the precisely tuned energy beams. "It's working," someone shouted. For the first time since the crisis began, true hope spread through the coalition forces. The Void Collective wasn't invincible after all. Later that evening, Admiral Carter found Kevin staring out at the stars. "You know what's ironic?" she said quietly. "If we had stayed in the Council, their restrictions would have prevented us from developing these weapons." Kevin nodded. "Sometimes you have to break away from old systems to find new solutions." On the other side of the room, human and alien officers worked together, planning the first true offensive against the void. The day humans departed the Galactic Council had indeed changed the universe Perhaps it had saved it. General Patricia Hughes stood at the command center of Earth's largest military base, surrounded by holographic maps showing fleet positions across 3 sectors of space. Red markers indicated Void collective presence, while blue showed coalition forces. For the first time in months, there were more blue markers than red. "The counter-offensive is working," she said, addressing the mixed group of human and alien officers. "The Void entities are retreating from the Proxima system." A Dralaxian commander nodded, his scaled skin gleaming under the lights. "Your battle tactics are effective, General. The Council would never have approved such aggressive maneuvers." Patricia smiled slightly. "Sometimes you need to hit hard and fast instead of slowly and carefully." 6 months ago, the situation had seemed hopeless. The Void Collective had consumed 17 worlds and was advancing toward the core systems. But everything changed when Dr. Kevin Morris discovered their weakness to specific frequencies. Now, specially equipped ships were pushing the enemy back. Major Gregory Barnes' voice came through the communication system. "General, this is Barnes. Special Forces team has completed mission on Helios IV. We've destroyed the Void's energy collection point and rescued 300 survivors." "Good work, Major," Patricia replied. "Return to base for debriefing." The room erupted in cheers. Helios IV had been considered lost. The Council's standard protocol would have been to abandon it completely, writing off anyone left behind. Patricia turned to Ambassador Krull, who represented the Tylorian refugees now living on Earth. "Your people helped us understand the Void's movement patterns. This victory belongs to all of us." Krull's eyes shimmered with emotion. "When the Council abandoned our colony, we thought we were forgotten. Humans were the only ones who came for us." Earth had opened its borders to refugees from fallen worlds, something the more isolationist Council species would never have done. Camps that began as emergency shelters had evolved into thriving communities where different species learned from each other. In the science wing, Dr. Alan Porter worked alongside Tylorian and Nalorian scientists, combining their knowledge to improve the counter-frequency weapons. What the Council had feared most about humans, their adaptability and willingness to try new approaches, had become the Coalition's greatest strength. "The Void is evolving," Alan explained to Patricia when she visited the lab. "They're trying to adapt to our weapons. We need to stay ahead of them." "How long can we maintain our advantage?" Patricia asked. "If we keep sharing knowledge freely between species, indefinitely," Alan said. The Council's compartmentalized approach to science held everyone back. Our open research model moves much faster. Later that day, Major Barnes returned with his Special Forces team. Their shuttle landed at the main base, carrying the rescued survivors from Helios IV. "They hit us without warning," said a rescued Centaurian engineer. The Council Defense Forces retreated immediately, leaving the colony to fend for itself. "We would have died if not for the human soldiers." Major Barnes looked uncomfortable with the praise. "We don't leave people behind. It's not our way." News of the successful rescue spread quickly. More Council worlds began reaching out to the human-led coalition rather than their own government. They were adopting human military structures, communication protocols, and even cultural practices like open scientific collaboration. In the command center, Patricia studied reports of the latest Void movements. They're changing their tactics, becoming more cautious. They didn't expect resistance. A communication officer called out, "General, we're receiving a direct transmission from the Council High Chamber." The main screen activated, showing the Council's Supreme Elder. The ancient alien looked tired and defeated. "General Hughes," the Elder said formally, "the Council wishes to request your guidance on implementing your defensive strategies in our remaining systems." Patricia exchanged glances with her officers. This was unprecedented. The Council asking humans for military advice. "We'll send advisors immediately," Patricia replied. "This fight belongs to all of us." As the transmission ended, Patricia couldn't help but reflect on how everything had changed. Humanity had left the Council as outsiders, only to return as leaders when the universe needed them most. Research specialist Eric Foster couldn't believe what he was seeing. After weeks of digging through the oldest council archives that even most council members weren't allowed to access, he had found it. The truth was hidden in plain sight, buried under layers of classification and forgotten history. "Ambassador Wright, you need to see this," Eric said, his voice trembling slightly as he transferred the files to the main screen in the Coalition's headquarters. Elaine Wright studied the ancient text and diagrams with growing amazement. The documents were over 12,000 years old, written in a language so old that only the Council's most advanced translation systems could decode it. "Are you certain about this translation?" she asked. Eric nodded. "I've triple-checked it. This isn't the first time the Void Collective has attacked. They've been here before, and someone found a way to stop them." The records described an advanced defense system designed by a species called the Araxians. This civilization had successfully repelled the Void using technology far beyond anything currently available. But more shocking was what happened next. The early Council didn't just study the Araxian technology, Eric explained. They feared it. The records show the Council destroyed the Araxians after the Void was defeated, claiming their power was too dangerous to exist. Elaine's expression hardened. So the Council has always eliminated what it feared, even those who saved them. The documents contained coordinates to a forbidden sector where the remains of Araxian civilization might still exist. If the Coalition could recover their defense system, they might have a permanent solution to the Void threat. "We need to send a mission immediately," Elaine decided. Commander Olivia Parker was chosen to lead the expedition. Her ship, the Horizon, was equipped with the latest counter-frequency weapons developed by Dr. Morris. The mission was dangerous. Not only would they face Void entities, but also potential interference from Council loyalists who didn't want this information revealed. "We'll be traveling beyond normal communication range," Olivia briefed her crew, a mix of humans and aliens from the Coalition. "If we succeed, we bring back the means to end this war. If we fail, the Coalition may not have time to send another mission." The Horizon departed Earth space the next day, using a series of carefully calculated jumps to avoid detection. 3 days into their journey, they encountered their first obstacle. "Commander, we have 2 Council vessels approaching," the tactical officer reported. "They're charging weapons." Olivia opened a communication channel. "Council vessels, this is Commander Parker of the Coalition ship Horizon. We are on a peaceful mission." The response was immediate. "Return to Earth space immediately. The forbidden sector is off-limits by ancient treaty." "They're trying to block us," Olivia said to her first officer. "They know what we're looking for." For nearly an hour, Olivia tried diplomacy. The Council ships remained firm. No one would be allowed to access the forbidden sector or the secrets it contained. "They're positioning to fire," the tactical officer warned. Olivia made her decision. "Activate the stealth systems. Plot a course around them." The Horizon disappeared from the Council ship's sensors, using technology that would have been restricted under Council rules. By the time they realized what had happened, Olivia's ship was already entering the forbidden sector. What they found there changed everything. The remains of Araxian civilization floated in space, massive structures built around a dying star. At the center was a space station unlike anything they had seen before. "Life support is still functioning," reported the science officer in disbelief. After 12,000 years, Olivia led the away team personally. Inside the station, they found the answers they sought, and more disturbing truths about the Council's past. "The Araxians weren't destroyed by the Void," Olivia said as she examined the station's records. "The early Council members sabotaged their defense system during the final battle, then finished off the survivors afterward. The Council had feared the Araxians would become the new leaders of galactic civilization once their role in defeating the Void was known. Rather than accept a change in the power structure, the founding Council species had committed genocide. "We've found the defense protocols," one of the engineers called out. "And they're still intact." Olivia looked at the ancient technology with a mixture of hope and resolve. Prepare to download everything. The Coalition needs to know the truth. All of it. The massive space station that once served as the Galactic Council headquarters now hosted representatives from over 200 species. Many had never been allowed inside these sacred halls before. Today, everything was different. Ambassador Elaine Wright stood at the center of the Grand Chamber. Behind her, the Araxian defense system hummed with power. The ancient technology, combined with modern modifications by Coalition scientists, had delivered the decisive blow against the Void Collective just 2 weeks earlier. The threat has been contained, Elaine announced to the gathered assembly. The Void entities have been pushed back to their original dimension and sealed there using the Araxian protocols. For the first time in nearly a year, all inhabited worlds are safe. Applause and various alien expressions of approval filled the chamber. Species that once barely acknowledged each other's existence now stood side by side, united by their shared survival. But our victory comes with hard truths, Elaine continued. The old council structure failed us all. It hid dangers rather than preparing for them. It restricted progress rather than encouraging it. It divided us when we needed unity. The remaining council elders sat quietly in their section, their once absolute authority now gone. The revelation of their ancestors' crimes against the Araxians and their own concealment of the Void threat had shattered their credibility. Today, we stand at a turning point, Elaine said. The old order has fallen. What will replace it is up to all of us. For 3 days, representatives debated the future. Some wanted to restore the council with reforms. Others called for complete independence of all worlds. The discussions were heated but respectful, a stark contrast to the rigid protocols of old council sessions. On the 4th day, Elaine proposed a new structure, a galactic federation founded on principles of cooperation, transparency, and mutual defense. Under this system, leadership would be based on merit rather than age or technological achievements. Species once dismissed as too primitive or aggressive would stand equal with the oldest civilizations, she explained. No knowledge would be restricted, no technology hoarded, no threats hidden. War Chief Vox of the Dralaxians was the first to voice support. My people were labeled as dangerous because we valued strength. Humans were feared because they adapted quickly, yet these were the very qualities that saved us all. One by one, representatives rose to join the new federation. Even most former council loyalists recognized the need for change. By the end of the week, the new alliance was formalized, with committees established to address the most pressing needs: rebuilding damaged worlds, advancing shared technology, and creating proper historical records of recent events. In a symbolic gesture, the first meeting of the Federation Council was held on Earth, a world that would have been denied such an honor under the old system. During the inauguration ceremony, Admiral Diane Carter unveiled a monument in the center of the new Federation headquarters. It displayed the words that Frank Mitchell had spoken years ago when announcing humanity's departure from the Galactic Council. We leave not in anger, but in hope that one day the stars will unite us rather than divide us. As the crowds dispersed after the ceremony, Dr. Kevin Morris stood with Commander Olivia Parker, watching ships from dozens of worlds in Earth's orbit. Do you think we would have discovered the Araxian technology if we had stayed in the Council? Olivia asked. Kevin shook his head. Never. We would have followed their rules, accepted their limitations, believed their version of history. Sometimes you have to step away to see the full picture. Ambassador Elaine Wright joined them, looking tired but satisfied. The irony isn't lost on me, she said. By leaving the Council, we ended up saving it, or at least transforming it into something better. The day humans departed the Galactic Council was the day the universe began to change, Kevin reflected. And today is the day that change is complete. In the skies above, the first Joint Federation fleet performed a ceremonial flyby. Ships of human, Tralaxian, Phylorian, and dozens of other designs, flying in perfect formation. A new era had begun, with humanity not at its center, but as an equal part of something greater than anyone had imagined possible.